There is a method of growing food that almost disappeared from common knowledge. It was practiced widely during the 1930s when families had no choice but to produce as much as possible with as little effort as they could manage. Back then, people did not have the luxury of spending hours every day tending their gardens. They had jobs to work, children to raise, and entire households to run without the modern conveniences we take for granted today. So they developed techniques that maximize production while minimizing labor. And one of those techniques is so effective that it can save you hours of work every single week while actually improving your harvests. The fact that most gardeners have never heard of it is one of the great losses of our agricultural memory. The technique I am talking about is called deep mulching, and it was popularized during the Depression era by farmers who could not afford to waste time or resources. The principle is simple, but the results are profound. Instead of leaving your soil bare and fighting weeds all season long, you cover every inch of your garden with a thick layer of organic material. Straw leaves, hay, wood chips, grass clippings, anything that was once alive can serve as mulch. You pile it deep, sometimes 8 or 10 inches thick, and you let it do the work that you would otherwise have to do yourself. The weeds cannot penetrate the barrier. The soil stays moist underneath. The temperature remains stable even during heat waves. And over time, the mulch breaks down and feeds your plants without any additional fertilizer. I discovered this method after years of struggling with traditional gardening approaches. Every summer, I spent hours pulling weeds, only to watch them return within days. I watered constantly because the bare soil dried out as soon as the sun hit it. I added fertilizer because my plants looked hungry no matter what I did. The work was exhausting, and the results were mediocre at best. Then I read about a woman named Ruth Stout who had pioneered this deep mulching approach on her Connecticut farm starting in the 1940s. She gardened into her 90s with minimal effort, and her harvests were legendary. When I tried her method, everything changed. The first thing I noticed was how much time I saved on weeding. In a traditional garden, weeds are a constant battle that never ends. They compete with your plants for water, nutrients, and sunlight, and if you ignore them for even a week, they can take over completely. But when you cover the soil with 8 inches of straw or hay, those weed seeds never see the light they need to germinate. The few weeds that do manage to push through are weak and easy to pull. I went from spending hours every week on my knees pulling weeds to spending almost no time at all. That single change gave me back entire afternoons that I used to lose to garden maintenance. The second benefit was reduced watering. Bare soil loses moisture rapidly through evaporation, especially during hot summer days. When the sun beats down on exposed earth, the water you applied in the morning can be gone by afternoon. But mulch acts as a barrier that traps moisture in the soil where your plants can use it. I found that my deeply mulched beds needed watering only once or twice per week, even during the hottest periods, while my neighbors were out every day with their hoses trying to keep their plants alive. The water savings alone justified the effort of applying the mulch, and the time savings made it even more valuable. The third advantage was soil temperature regulation. Plant roots are sensitive to extreme heat, and when soil temperatures climb too high, growth slows down and yields suffer. Bare soil can reach temperatures that stress or even kill the beneficial organisms that make nutrients available to your plants. Mulch keeps the soil cool during summer and warm during the shoulder seasons, extending your growing window in both directions. My tomatoes kept producing weeks longer than my neighbors because their roots stayed comfortable while everyone else was dealing with heat-stressed plants that had stopped setting fruit. What surprised me most was how the mulch improved my soil over time without any additional work on my part. As the bottom layer of organic material decomposed, it released nutrients directly into the root zone where my plants could access them. Earthworms moved in and multiplied, creating channels that improved drainage and aeration. The soil structure transformed from compacted clay into loose, friable earth that roots could penetrate easily. I stopped buying fertilizer because the mulch was providing everything my plants needed. The garden was feeding itself, and all I had to do was keep adding material to the top as the bottom layer broke down. The farmers of the 1930s understood something that modern gardening has largely forgotten. They knew that working harder is not the same as working smarter, and that nature will do most of the heavy lifting if you just set up the conditions correctly. They did not have rototillers or synthetic fertilizers or drip irrigation systems. What they had was observation and ingenuity, and a willingness to let natural processes handle the tasks that we now try to accomplish through brute force and purchased inputs. Deep mulching was one of their most powerful tools, and it remains just as effective today as it was 90 years ago. The practical application is straightforward. In spring, before you plant, you spread a thick layer of mulch over your entire garden area. You push the mulch aside to create small openings where you want to place seeds or transplants. As the plants grow, you pull the mulch back around their stems, leaving just enough space for air circulation. Throughout the season, you add more material as the bottom layer compresses and decomposes. By the end of summer, you will have built inches of new topsoil without any digging or tilling. The following spring, you simply add more mulch on top and repeat the process. The materials you use for mulch can be almost anything organic. Straw is the classic choice because it is cheap, widely available, and breaks down at a moderate pace. Hay works well but may contain more weed seeds, so aged hay that has already started decomposing is preferable. Leaves are excellent and free in most neighborhoods every autumn. Grass clippings add nitrogen as they break down, but should be applied in thin layers to prevent matting. Wood chips are longer lasting and work especially well around perennial plants and fruit trees. The key is thickness. A thin layer of mulch will not suppress weeds effectively and will dry out too quickly to retain moisture. You need depth, and that means piling it on more generously than feels intuitive at first. One concern people raise is whether mulch attracts pests or creates problems with slugs and other moisture-loving creatures. In my experience, the benefits far outweigh any minor pest issues, and the increased biodiversity that mulch supports actually helps control problem insects naturally. The ground beetles and spiders that live in mulch prey on the pests that would otherwise damage your plants. The birds that come to hunt in the mulch layer eat countless insects that never get a chance to reproduce. A mulched garden is a balanced ecosystem, and balanced ecosystems regulate themselves far better than bare soil monocultures ever could. Another question is whether mulch makes it harder to plant seeds directly. The answer is that you simply pull back the mulch to create a small bare strip where you want to sow seeds. Once the seedlings are established and tall enough, you push the mulch back around them. For transplants, you just create a hole through the mulch layer, set your plant in place, and close the mulch around the stem. The process is quick, and the benefits of moisture retention and weed suppression apply immediately. I have grown everything from tiny lettuce seeds to large tomato transplants using this method, and the results have been consistently excellent. The time savings compound throughout the season in ways that are hard to appreciate until you experience them. Every hour you do not spend weeding is an hour you can spend harvesting or relaxing or pursuing other projects. Every watering session you skip is time and money saved. Every bag of fertilizer you do not buy is another cost eliminated from your gardening budget. By the end of a single season, the cumulative savings can amount to dozens of hours and hundreds of dollars. Over years of gardening, those numbers become truly significant. I think about those Depression-era farmers often when I am working in my garden. They faced hardships we can barely imagine, and they responded with creativity and resilience. They did not have YouTube videos or gardening books to teach them what to do. They learned through experimentation and observation, and they passed their knowledge down to the next generation through practice and conversation. Somewhere along the way, we lost much of that knowledge, as industrial agriculture and consumer culture convinced us that growing food required expensive inputs and constant labor. The deep mulching method is a reminder that simpler approaches often work better, and that the wisdom of previous generations still has much to teach us. If you have been struggling with a garden that demands more time than you have to give, I encourage you to try this approach. Start small with a single bed if you want to test the method before committing fully. Gather whatever organic materials you can find for free and pile them deep. Plant through the mulch and watch what happens. You will spend less time working and more time enjoying the abundance your garden produces. That is the promise of this 1930s farming trick. And it is a promise that nature keeps delivering season after season for anyone willing to let go of modern complications and embrace the elegant simplicity of deep mulch. Gardening. The generations before us figured this out through necessity, and now we can benefit from their hard-won wisdom without having to learn it the difficult way ourselves. This knowledge is a gift from the past, and using it honors those who discovered it while making our own lives easier and more productive at the same time. Every handful of mulch you spread is a step toward a garden that works with you instead of against you. And every season you practice, this method brings you closer to the effortless abundance that those resourceful farmers achieved decades ago. The secret has been waiting for you to discover it. And now that you know, there is nothing stopping you from transforming your garden forever.